Alright, guys, today we're gonna be reacting to Learn German with Nena's 99 Luftballons. Balloons. This was one of those videos recommended in the Discord. Make sure you like to subscribe. You're just gonna simply jump in. Let's go.
Hallo zusammen. Yes, I know. Long time no see, dear Analyzing German Songs series. I know. I've already interpreted and talked about the lyrics of songs by Rammstein and Die Ärzte, but this time it's getting a bit, well, more poppy, dare I say. And in this particular case, that
More
isn't
poppy.
meant in a bad way. Quite the opposite.
MTV ruined the entire music industry. Destroyed everything.
Because today I'm gonna talk about the song 99 Luftballons by Nena, which probably still to this day is one of the most popular German songs known internationally. Since I'm not allowed to directly use and feature the actual song in this video, yeah, I know, sad but true, I really suggest listening to the song while watching the video. This is how I would do it. If you have two screens, put this video on one screen and the music video on the other screen. That way you can easily listen to the song and jump to the respective parts I'm talking about while watching this video on the other screen.
Can't do that. I'm recording. I can't do that, folks.
The lyrics will be shown on screen in total, and the things I'm talking about in specific will be highlighted as well. And, of course, I've also translated the lyrics to English, and those will be shown next to the German lyrics as well. By the way, yes, I know there are English lyrics to this song already, but I still wanted to translate them myself, and the way I'd translate them quite, well, literally, but also rather freely. A mixture of both, pretty much.
Okay, let's go.
99 Luftballons, 99 Balloons, is a song by the German singer and eponymously called band Nena. It was first released in 1983, both as a single and on the band's eponymous album. It was composed by the quite famous German songwriter Uwe Fahrenkrog-Petersen, and the lyrics were written by Carlo Karges. This song in particular is still considered one of the most popular songs of the Neue Deutsche Welle genre, which pretty much was a highly popular wave of new wave music and a more punk rockish type of pop music in Germany during the late 70s and the 1980s. The whole first verse is a more or less independent introduction to the story that's about to be told and unfold throughout the song. Each verse is a continuation of the previous one with additional and more detailed details. Makes
those
sense.
details?
At only 4 seconds in, Nena directly asks the listener if they have some spare time in order to listen to the song, so instead of talking to a specific, maybe even fictitious person, she's rather breaking the fourth wall.
Do you have some time for me to spare? Let me see if we're gonna say it.
Right.
First. I don't want to interrupt you.
From the get-go,
Oh.
so to speak. She is addressing you. Hast
Okay.
du etwas Zeit für mich? Dann singe ich ein Lied für dich von 99 Luftballons auf ihrem Weg zum Horizont. And no, I'm not gonna sing that. Sorry. At this very early point in the track, you might even expect a very romantic song about peace and white sunny sky and cute rubber ducks and
What?
stuff.
What?
But no. The song actually takes an interesting turn during the second verse in general, and from the second half onwards in particular. In a way, the very first line in the second verse actually marks the indirect beginning of the song, since Nena, or rather the lyrical I, das lyrische Ich, has offered to sing a song about 99 balloons in the first verse. That's probably also the reason why this verse...
Okay, let's go. 99 balloons on their way to the horizon were mistaken for UFOs from outer space. That's why General sent a flying squadron after them to raise alarm if that was true. But all that went across the horizon were 99 balloons flying. Hold up. We're in the 1960s. We went to the moon around that time. Do we really want to talk about this? Folks, I might just be quiet here, but you know, I think I'm starting to love this.
starts with the basic situation that has already been mentioned and teased in the first one. The third and following line actually sets the more military and darker lyrical tone for the remainder of the song. 99 Luftballons auf ihrem Weg zum Horizont hielt man für UFOs aus dem All. Darum schickte ein General eine Fliegerstaffel hinterher.
Yep.
That escalated quickly.
Very quick.
As a side note, I really like the change of pace and tempo at the beginning of this verse, which underlines the growing intensity of the lyrics very well, so it really accompanies that quite directly. Generally speaking, on both the lyrical and musical side of things, this song heavily breathes the zeitgeist of the 1980s, which, by the way, is a German loanword. It's der Zeitgeist,
There's
the
side guy.
time ghost, so to speak.
Oh, hold up. Let me just read what it says. Time goes here. It says, typical social cultural habits, styles, ideologies, and ways of life that occur, happen, during and correlate with a specific time period or point in times. The 80s spirit. Interesting.
So to speak. At this point in time, the Cold War, der Kalte Krieg, was still happening, it was still going on, and no one really knew what was gonna happen next. So many people were afraid about the ongoing Cold War turning into a hot war all of a sudden. And
Yeah.
to be even more specific, because Nena is German and Germany was separated back then, that was also a huge part of the tension that was going on and
Yep.
the uncertainty, so to speak. So yeah, in the microcosm it's West Germany and East Germany, but in the macrocosm it's pretty much the West against the East.
Oh,
The third verse is more direct
interesting.
regarding the almost paranoid reactions that were solely caused by 99 Balloons.
Oh man, these are very good stuff. I have a music reaction channel. I've been reacting to a lot of Russian stuff lately. But I've been including some other Australian singers. But nor here there, I might just react to this too, man. My other channel.
Flying in the sky. This is conveyed through an already different beginning. 99 Düsenflieger, jeder war ein großer Krieger, hielten sich für Captain Kirk. Es gab ein großes Feuerwerk. The fearful and uncertain, almost paranoid reaction by the neighbors, most likely again referring to the conflict between the West and East Europe back in those days, is highlighted especially in the second half of the verse. Die Nachbarn haben nichts gerafft und fühlten sich gleich angemacht. Dabei schoss man am Horizont auf 99 Luftballons. People on one side of the Iron Curtain, der eiserne Vorhang, did something pretty harmless, but the neighbors, meaning people on the other side of the curtain, were alarmed and presumed the worst scenario. To me, this also raises the question whether the alarmed side, the neighbors, actually felt threatened out of, like, real fear, meaning because they really misconceived the situation pretty much by accident, or if they were even glad about the situation, because they could use it to their advantage willingly and as an excuse for being allowed to attack the enemy. And, of course, don't get me wrong.
Wow, that East Germany, man. East Germany, they were ready for it, man. They were ready for it. That's crazy. Man, Cold War was very interesting, right? Because everybody were in high tensions. That's insane, man.
Here, there's a huge difference between the people I'm talking about, like the citizens, and the regimes. So I primarily refer to the army, the military, and the politicians. The lyrical
Look at
eye
that,
is
wow.
very clear and direct.
I think
on
we
this
saw
matter.
a picture of this, right? I mean, personally, I think it looks amazing.
The enemy is so cruel and just waits for even the tiniest and most stupid situation to feel threatened and to start a war.
Wow.
The hot war, so to speak.
Yep. Go
The
from
fourth
cold to
verse
hot.
expresses a similar intense situation, but on a different level of governance, so to speak. This time, the lyrics directly refer to politicians on the enemy's side, the war ministers, die Kriegsminister. 99 Kriegsminister, Streichholz und Benzinkanister, hielten sich für schlaue Leute, witterten schon fette Beute. And apparently, this situation really escalates in the second half of this verse, because it goes, the
Just because 99 balloons. Just because 99 balloons. Okay.
War Ministers riefen Krieg und wollten Macht. Mann, wer hätte das gedacht, dass es einmal so weit kommt, wegen 99 Luftballons. The fifth and last verse talks about a time period in the future. So there's quite a huge jump in time now. It's pretty much the next hypothetical page in the same book. Or, for instance, a picture of a dystopian scenario of how the world could have ended if everything really escalated and the Cold War indeed would have turned into a very hot war, which, as we know nowadays in 2018, didn't happen. But back then, people didn't know that yet, so...
No, they didn't. Not only that, people were afraid. I mean, there's some places still in the United States where you can see bunkers or ads explaining how to hide inside a bunker because of the Cold War, afraid of being attacked by the nuclear bombs.
Again, keep that in mind. 99 Jahre Krieg ließen keinen Platz für Sieger. Kriegsminister gibt's nicht mehr und auch keine Düsenflieger. Heute zieh ich meine Runden, seh die Welt in Trümmern liegen, hab 'n Luftballon gefunden, denk an dich und lass ihn fliegen. Now that I once again think about the balloons and the metaphor behind those, that could also refer to many people trying to flee and pretty much leave the GDR, the Deutsche Demokrat.
I don't think so. I was not thinking about that. I was thinking more about when they say all because of 99 balloons, meaning like probably like a reason to start a war. Like a reason. Like the 99 balloon or fake UFOs is just a reason to start a war. But not for people who were fleeing. That's interesting. He might be right though.
Republik. And I don't know if you're aware of this, but trying that, many people actually lost their lives and they died. But I assume the balloon the lyrical eye has just found might also be a metaphor for a remaining very bleak or pale shimmer of hope. Der Hoffnungsschimmer, a very similar word. Even in dark and or the darkest times. There is always hope in the world and people shouldn't lose hope, so to speak. And the memory of a loved one or a very close person will survive in the end. That's how I'd interpret the last line. Because that is what it's all about and what is magical about art. Because even if the lyricist had a specific intention in mind, you, as the listener, can still have your very own perception and interpretation of the song.
I agree with him.
And each song can have a specific meaning to you. And although I don't really know about that, I could imagine and pretty much assume that this song might be perceived and mean something different to people in East Germany.
Good point.
Once again, I don't really know if you know that or if you're aware of that, but back in the day, people couldn't just leave the GDR. If I had to put it in really literal, direct words, in comparison, they weren't free.
Wow.
So that is what I think 99 Luftballons by Nena is about. I also enjoy the rather obvious contrast between the rather happy pop melodies and the increasingly intense and darker lyrical content. Because even if you don't understand German and you don't really know much about the background of all this, the song will still work as a pop song because of this Harvey Two-Face character to it, you know? And as I've already mentioned at the beginning of this review, even though this contrast is quite evident, the pace and rhythm of the song still correlates quite closely with the story. For instance, the very last verse is rather quiet and mellow sounding compared to the rest of the song. If you have specific suggestions...
Hey man, I like this guy. I like this dude. He knows what he's talking about. I like him. Now, personally, I think as the Cold War, you have to send messages that are not that clear, very metaphorically. Things are hidden. You cannot really know what is going on unless only the people that are local know what is going on. 99 Balloon, I was thinking more like a reason to start a conflict. you can have any reason to start a conflict, and both sides wanted to start a conflict because a lot of land was in play. I personally think a lot of land was in play, and why not have a reason to just start something? And a lot of musicians that were criticizing some of the governments, local and international, in a way to just avoid conflict. And I think during the between the 1950s all the way to the 1990s, that was so crucial. Art was so crucial just to avoid craziness. And I think some of them they succeed, and some of them they didn't. That's how it is. But let me know what you guys see in the comment section below, and let me know. I might just get more information about them. Maybe react to my music channel. For the meantime, guys, I will see you in the next one.